there, and a very warm welcome to another video from Change Tips and Tools. And yes, it's me again, Phil, the Brummie that hails from Birmingham, England. Now, today's video will be the last on the theme of creating budget versus actuals dashboard. Next, we will explore how Power Pivot and Power Query can help us with resource capacity planning, but that's for the future. In today's video, I want to arm you with the tools to protect your dashboard, to prevent all your hard work being destroyed by user error. Now, I have been blessed for more than half of my life because that's how long I've been married to my soulmate, my best friend, my partner in crime, my beautiful and funny wife, Mrs. B. Now, many moons ago, my wife earned the nickname of Deb the Hacker by her work colleagues. Not because she's a master at breaking into secure computer systems, it's because she's that incompetent with computers. She's that bad that she actually broke the work computer. Bless. I love that woman. But if I ever sent this beautiful dashboard to Mrs. B, this is what I'd get back. Well, we don't want that to happen, do we? So let's look at how we can protect all your hard work. Let's do this. Again, it's really simple. So here is our beautiful dashboard, our budget versus actuals that we've been working so hard on together. Now, all related videos to how we built this dashboard with Power Query, with Power Pivot, and creating the formatting, the dynamic dashboards, all those videos can be found in the description. Check it out. And as discussed, we want to protect our hard work. We want to protect this worksheet for a variety of reasons. One common reason is to prevent yourself or your colleagues or even my wife from deleting formulas or other critical data. So let's talk about protection. So the first thing here is that let's talk about how do you protect a cell. So the concept of protecting a cell. If I select any cell in here and do Control-1 and I go to the protection tab, you can see that this cell by default is locked, which means if I apply protection, then nothing can be changed in this cell. And if I select hidden, it means any formulas in that cell when protection is applied will be hidden, as in they won't be able to see the formula. Okay, so that's first things first. So by default, all cells are set to locked. Okay, so if I just close that down. The other thing is any object that you have. So if I select this text box here and do Control-1, and I go into the size and properties section and go into properties, you can see again all objects by default are, you're able to print them, but you can't change them. So as soon as you apply protection, they are locked. And what I've done here in previous videos, I've set the don't move or resize with cells. So in other words, it stays the same size and the same format. Now, as far as slicers are concerned, again, they are set as locked, etc. And same with charts, all those objects are set as locked. So we want to change a few properties here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select these slicers here. So I'm going to hold down the Control key. And I am going to untick the locks because I need them to be able to interact with the slicers so they can do the dynamic view here with the data. But I don't want it moving or resizing with any cells. I'm also going to go into the position and layout, and I'm going to disable resizing or moving on these as well so the user can't resize them anyway. So that's that done. I'm then going to select the timeline slicer. And again, I'm going to untick the locked and say don't move or resize with cells. Now, with this, for some reason, you can't disable the resizing or moving on the timeline slicer type for a reason. I don't know why. Maybe Excel will sort that out in future updates. Now, if I select the chart here, again on size and properties, again, I don't want this to move. So I'm going to select both charts here. So hold down the control key, and I'm going to don't move or resize these charts here. Now, I'm going to keep them locked because there's no reason for the user to interact with them. So now I've set the properties of all my objects on here. Let's talk about applying protection. So the first one, if we go to the review ribbon, is protect workbook. So as you know, in previous videos, if I click the unhide, we've hidden a number of tabs that the users do not need to interact with. So these have got our support analysis, our calendar dates, etc., our cross-reference information. Those sheets and cells are not protected. We just don't want people unhiding them. So if I click the cancel button and select protect workbook, don't apply a password. The key thing about protection is it's to stop users interfering with formulas, formatting, or deleting data by accident. However, you can buy legal applications, or you can get free applications that will easily remove any passwords. It's also a pain trying to keep track of these passwords. So again, this is just to protect the structure and the format of your template. So if I click OK, now if I right click, I don't get the option to unhide those. So let's talk about the protect this sheet now, to stop people interact or changing any of these things on here and just purely use it as an interactive dashboard as intended. So if I open up the protect sheet dialog box, again, we're not going to use a password because I think it's a waste of time. So the first property, when we look at this, is select lock cells. If this is ticked, it allows the user to select lock cells using the mouse or the keyboard, and this is enabled by default. So I'm going to untick this because I don't want them to selecting lock cells. Now, as far as the unlock cells, again, same principle. If this is selected, it allows the user to select unlock cells using the mouse or the keyboard. Now, this applies that logic to our slicers and to our timeline, and we want them to be able to select those, so this remains ticked. So let's go down them one by one, because you're probably wondering what all these are. So if I then go to format cells, so if I tick this, it allows the user to apply their own formatting. So I don't want them messing around with the dashboard, so this remains unticked. Then as far as the format columns and format rows, this allows the user to hide or change the width or the row height. So I don't want them messing around with that because they'll change the structure of the dashboard. So again, I'm going to leave those unticked. And then as far as insert columns and insert rows, this allows the user to add new rows and add new columns to the sheet if it's protected. Again, I don't want them doing that, so I'm going to leave those unticked. Now, insert links refers to the ability to insert a hyperlink into a locked cell. Again, for the purposes of this dashboard, we don't need them to be able to do that, so I'm going to leave that unticked. Now, the delete columns and delete rows, if we tick those, it means the user can delete columns and delete rows. Again, we don't want them doing that because that'll change the structure of the dashboard. Now, as far as the sort option, so with the sort option, if this is ticked, it allows the user to sort data in a range as long as the range doesn't contain locked cells. That's not applicable for this dashboard, so we're going to leave that unticked. Now, for use auto filter, again, allows the user to use existing auto filters. Again, not applicable here. We don't have a table here with an auto filter or a range of information with auto filter applied, so we don't need that. So I'm going to leave that unticked. However, For us to be able to interact with these slicers and for it to impact this pivot table here, I need to tick this use pivot table and pivot chart. If I leave it unticked, then we won't be able to use the dynamic capabilities of this dashboard. So when you tick this, it allows the user to change the layout of a pivot table or create new pivot tables. And this also applies to pivot charts. So again, we want it to apply to these pivot charts as well. So we're going to have that ticked. If we select edit objects, it allows the user to make changes to objects such as shapes and charts, as well as inserting or deleting notes. Again, we don't want them to be able to do this, so we're going to leave that unselect. And then finally, edit scenarios. This allows the user to manage the scenario features or use the management features, scenario management features. Again, not applicable here, so we're going to leave that unticked. So with those selections made, I'm going to click OK. And now I can't actually move these things around. Now, the only thing that I can move around is the timeline. So that's the only thing, but they can't delete it or anything like that. So now I can interact with this. So if I select program A, the data changes. So I've got 330 there as a total. So I can do data, refresh all. And you'll see that it hasn't actually changed there. That should have gone up to 340. But if I again take the filter off and reselect it, it then refreshes itself. So just be aware of that, is that you need to reapply the filters. But your data refresh works and people can't destroy the work that you've done. And there you go. I now have a fully protected worksheet and workbook. So that video was short and simple, hopefully. And that concludes our budget versus actuals dashboard and data analysis. In the next set of videos, we'll start to look at how we can do resource capacity planning, again utilizing the power of Power Pivot and Power Query, and do some dynamic dashboards so we can look at how we can approach that. So I hope you found this video informative. If so, please remember to click that like, subscribe, and smash that notifications button for future content. I wish you a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Please take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye bye now.